The whole system that we live in drills into us that we're powerless, that we're weak, that our society is evil, that it's crime-ridden, et cetera, and so forth. It's all a big, fat lie. We are powerful, beautiful, extraordinary. There is no reason why we cannot understand who we truly are, where we are going. There is no reason why the average individual cannot be fully empowered. We are incredibly powerful beings.
You know, I think I spent 30 years of my life, in the first 30, trying to become something. I wanted to become good at things. I wanted to become good at tennis. I wanted to become good at school and grades and everything I kind of viewed in that perspective. I'm not okay the way I am, but if I got good at things, you realize that I had the game wrong. The game was to find out what I already was, find out what I already was.
Now, in our culture, we've been trained for individual differences to stand out. So you look at each person, the immediate hit is brighter, dumber, older, younger, richer, poorer, and we make all these dimensional distinctions, put them in categories and treat them that way. And we get so that we only see others as separate from ourselves in the ways in which they're separate. And one of the dramatic characteristics of experience is being with another person and suddenly seeing the ways in which they are like you, not different from you, and experiencing the fact that that which is essence in you and which is essence in me is indeed one. The understanding that there is no other. It is all one. And I wasn't born Richard Alpert. I was just born as a human being. And then I learned this whole business of who I am and whether I'm good or bad or achieving or not, all that's learned along the way.
The old appeals to racial, sexual, and religious chauvinism, to rabid nationalist fervor, are beginning not to work. A new consciousness is developing which sees the Earth as a single organism and recognizes that an organism at war with itself is doomed.
Okay, Freedomizers, you're here with Nikki, and you're joining me for Rise Above Dehumanization. And our guest is with us here now. Doc Mike, you there?
I sure am, Nikki. Thank you
How
for
are you
having
doing
me
this
join you.
beautiful... Go ahead.
I said thank you for having me join you. I was kind of listening to your voice a few minutes ago, and I remember my first days of broadcasting. I was trying to catch my breath and wondered if, everybody was listening or who was listening and so on. And over time, you get a real comfort level of broadcasting, and I'm sure it won't take you long to do that.
Thank you so much. How was your awesome Saturday?
Pardon?
How was your Saturday?
It's going real well. I've got a patient here now, and he's listening to my conversation. Unfortunately, I don't have a speakerphone here to hear your lovely voice, but he can hear the one side of it anyway. But what I'd like to do, first of all, I want to kind of go over what Doc Mike is all about. My number one thing is women's issues and stopping the insane drugging by doctors with prescription drugs of the beautiful women of the United States and around the world too, but especially the United States with these prescription drugs. And also, I just an hour or so ago was watching a DVD on 911 and the big cover up there, the inside job. And I've done this before, and I'd like to do it on your show too, to offer free, that's called free, F-R-E-E, free treatment here in Chicago of any of the 911 responders that are sick over there and being denied help by our government that caused this terrible disaster, and the people that have died in New York since that hazard was perpetrated on us. And I'd like to give out my phone number, and I'll repeat it. Anybody listening in New York, or if they've moved out of New York with their maladies from that dust that was created there, that sonic dust from the blowing up those towers, my phone number here in Chicago is 630-322-8880. 630-322-8880. And if you, you know my number too, if maybe as your shows go on during the weeks, you can offer this free medical attention here in Chicago by Doc Mike. This is one of my relatives, have been police and fire in New York for almost 100 years, the McCarthys that immigrated from Ireland. And I want to give something back to New York. I was born in New York in 1945, came to Chicago in diapers after my dad got out of the U.S. Navy in 45, and been here ever since. I'll be 66 the first part of January, first week in January.
Oh, well, happy birthday. You're a Capricorn then.
You bet. The strongest one on the planet, January 5th.
Nice. Very, very nice. For those of y'all who don't know of Doc Mike or have ever heard of American Voice Radio, he's actually, how many listeners do you have now? I know you're number one in your genre.
35 million.
35 million listeners now for cures in holistic medicine?
That's right. It's the number one curing and holistic radio program in the world that's caller-driven. Wednesdays and Fridays at 5 p.m. Central Time, 6 in New York, 4 in the mountains, and 3 on the West Coast. Do the math for around the world.
That's okay. I actually, our other guest that we just had, that was kind of funny. He was just sending me a quick message. As you know, I deal with the switchboard as well. I think we talked about that yesterday. He was Sean McIntyre. He's a hypnotherapist. I just brought him online. His birthday is actually, you just said the same birthday? Sean?
Oh, have you got another guest there?
I was going to let him say hi, too.
Oh, fine.
Yes, my birthday is January 5th as well.
Are you familiar with some of the celebrants of January 5th, like Henry Ford, Diane Keaton? Elvis was a couple days later.
King Juan Carlos of Spain.
I'm sorry?
King Juan Carlos of Spain as well.
Oh, wonderful. Yeah, it's the most powerful Capricorn. There's, I think it's 15 or 16 days back to Sagittarius and 16 days up to Aquarius. We're dead in the middle.
Absolutely. And we're very humble people as well.
Well, you know,
oh, wow.
when people get to the top of the mountain, as they come up, we say to them, "What took you so long?"
That's right.
We're always climbing. So.
Well, y'all are both also into the more natural ways of handling people's situations, or I don't want to say, what medically it's usually referred to. I don't like the whole, terminology that's used today. I mean, people go through things and sometimes they need help, but y'all both seriously also go through, I guess, more natural, energetic-based approaches.
Well, the holistic techniques have been around for 8,000 years. I'm a reflexologist. I'm a life coach. I do myotherapy and a host of other therapies that have been around for centuries. They're proven. The latest thing to come out of New York was this fecal therapy or stool therapy where they're curing C. diff, the most virulent infection on the planet right now beyond MRSA. And a Dr. Richard Brandt out of Montefiore Research Center there has successfully used fecal therapy. They take healthy stool and inject it into the rectums of people that have this uncontrollable diarrhea. They say that the most expensive antibiotic on the planet cannot stop this virulent infection, and in short order, it's gone. And I've put calls into him. I hope to have him as a guest on my show, and I would encourage you, Nikki, to have him as a guest on your show also. It's Dr. Lawrence Brandt out of Montefiore, and I can give you his phone numbers as we talk maybe during the week next week.
That would be perfect. We have another caller that wants to have a say as well. It looks like this is going to be from the username, the Jim Clark Show.
The Jim Clark Show, yes. Well, hi there.
Good afternoon, Jim.
Good afternoon. Let me turn my sound down because of the relay here. How's everything going? Yeah, you had made I'm new to Blogtalk Radio.
Okay.
And you had mentioned that you had 44 listeners. Was that on Blogtalk Radio or another internet radio program?
Well, on the internet streaming, they have a method of calculating listeners, and Michael Savage is about twice mine, and we know his are around 60 million, so we estimate mine at about 30 to 35 million listeners around the world.
Wow, that's very impressive.
And we know the White House. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm like I said, I'm new to Blogtalk Radio, so I'm always open to try different, check out different things. Okay, good. Well, congratulations on it.
You can find out what's going on with your program if you go to TalkStreamLive.com. You'll probably be listed there under Michael Savage and the programs from AVR, American Voice Radio. We're always right at the top there, usually in the top 5. And several times I've beaten Michael Savage. I missed that. Go ahead.
What's it called again?
American Voice Radio.com. It's AVR for short. But you have to, if you're going to their website, it's American Voice Radio.
Yeah, they have a lot of good people, and I like Max Egan. He's for those who don't know, he's from Australia. He goes very much about pushing people to be people again and starting at the community base and reaching out from that way and not necessarily submitting to the government's restraints on what's right and wrong and what you should do for your life. And, of course, Tex Mars, he's, one of the people that have always the main leader of any movement against the New World Order, I'd say. Most people will cite, those who know would say, Tex Mars, he's the one who got Alex started, among others. So there's many amazing hosts on American Voice Radio, for sure.
Oh, that's good. I'm glad I happened to run across your show. All right. Well, happy holidays and happy weekend.
Thanks for joining us, Jim. Okay, Nikki, I'd like to go over this women's program that I'm doing, too. Now, you'd think it's a little unusual that the U.S. government allows people to smoke and get lung cancer and die. They allow certain states to have their motorcycle riders ride without helmets and spread their brains all over the highways. But when I instituted my women's program, to have someone come to me and make available to them a therapy that's over 140 years old that will eliminate PMS, menopause, and the symptoms associated with it, like bloating, cramping, excessive bleeding, tender breasts, being a mongoose for a couple of days, wanting to tear up the house. Somebody wanted to come to Doc Mike to fix that. Doc Mike winds up in jail.
Yeah. And you've already gone through this, right?
I sure have, along with a $20,000 gun collection that was confiscated from me and destroyed with a diamond saw, ran it right through the actions of these guns. I've never pointed a gun at anybody. I'm a safety instructor at 3 gun clubs. So the state decided they were going to get me, and they cooked up this threat that I was going to kill somebody. It established a search warrant for my clinic. Didn't find any guns, so they invented a gun and confiscated all my stuff, threw me in jail, tested me psychologically, which I passed with flying colors, no underlying mental illness, fit for trial, legally sane. I've got my walk-in papers. And then put me on 2 years of probation. I couldn't tell little children to brush their teeth. Though I did during that time. I practiced practically every day undercover. Now I'm out in the open. I'm in the state's face every day with medical freedom, that you have a choice to go anywhere you want for it's a Ninth Amendment right. Go anywhere you want to see anyone, whether or not they have any formal education or training. If you read the Ninth Amendment, it's on my website, by the way, at Services and Forms, and my website is wakeupwell.org. wakeupwell.org. And if you'd like to talk to Doc personally, my phone number is 630-322-8880. Call me anytime.
Cool. I just put the link into the chat room, as well as your phone number, to spread to those who are joining us that way, of course. So that's very awesome. No, I'm quite impressed, because just plain and simply standing up and keep going, because most people would get so discouraged after just minute legal trouble that they would not even attempt to go back, especially trying to push the same things again, which I find highly admirable. So you've had to come across some serious, especially at first, some serious, I guess, roadblocks.
I sure did. And what I did was develop a sense of no fear of these people, because not only the joy that I get of seeing people get well. I've got a patient here right now that we beat diabetes, diabetic neuropathy, diabetic ulcers, and a weight problem in a very short period of time, less than 30 days. And the diabetic issues in about 2 to 3 weeks. And he's sharing a new life for himself, and we're working on some other issues now that are getting cured, and I'm using the word cure very,
That's what got you
rapidly.
in trouble to begin with, right?
Well, evidently nobody has looked up the word cure in Wikipedia or encyclopedia or a dictionary. All it says is restores to health. Now, how tragic can that be if you restore someone to health? And where in America does it say that somebody can't sit down and try to help humanity? My big things are, of course, my sports work is my big thing, but my original focus was fibromyalgia and chronic fatigue. There are 8 to 10 million women out there in the United States right now suffering from fibromyalgia and chronic fatigue for absolutely nothing. I had it for 23 years. It's gone. It's never coming back. It's the curing of hypoxia. The Chinese had figured out that this identical syndrome could have been cured 2,000 years ago. I had a small 50 to 60-page book that I donated to a library when they foreclosed on my house, and I had to get rid of a lot of my possessions. But it was a little book of how the Chinese were curing it 2,000 years ago.
I love that's been one of my passions lately, has been, I don't know if you'd say affectionately or not, but it's termed forbidden archaeology, because those that actually come across some of these old digs that might have information that I guess goes against mainstream propaganda, right? Then it's just hushed or either killed or or paid off so that they don't talk.
Right.
And
Oh, that's going on all the time.
Yeah.
I know that.
But they've even come up with texts showing that they were high. I mean, we're talking over 2,000 years ago. They were doing things, and this is what's odd. Papyrus showing actual diagrams and how to do brain transplants.
Wow. Well, the Greeks came up with it. One of my mainstays of my practice is vibration therapy, both percussion and low vibration, 5 to 6,000 RPM, with a Hitachi a single head or a double head. The double heads are not manufactured anymore, unfortunately. My hands, just tapping gently. We have a format for that on my website of endorphins. And they're totally reclaiming people's lives. As a life coach and a reflexologist, these therapies work almost immediately on my patients. It's so dynamic. Their restoration, and of course we work with nutrition. That's a very, very important cog in this wheel. If you go to my Facebook account, or whatever they call that, Facebook page, I don't do computers, you'll see that I have their ion research, and that's immune system, oxygen, and nutrition. A blend of these three factors can bulletproof anybody from around the world, anywhere. And most of the countries are already bulletproofed. It's the United States that has the American Murder Association, I call it, the AMA, and the FDA, and these states' statutes about touching people and so on and helping them get repaired, that is stalling this whole thing out.
Unless it's the government doing it, because look what the TSA does.
Well, yeah, we can start there too. But they're cooling their heels, because I think people are waking up that this was just a gigantic freedom grab in 9/11 when the United States was raped. But look at it this way too. I don't think Thomas Edison ever spent a day in jail for inventing the light bulb. Now, do you think that maybe, I mean, the light bulb was important, but if he never invented the light bulb and we still were using candles and gas lamps and things like that, so what? But we would have our health. Isn't health much more important than, we get sunlight every day. There are countries that never will see electricity. They get along just fine, and they're healthy. They don't have a word for cancer. They don't have a word for PMS. They don't have a word for police. They don't have a word for war. They're peace-loving people. They live to be 125 or 150.
Exactly.
And they die of old age, not lung cancer or pancreatic cancer or ovarian cancer or brain cancer. Look at this one. This one's even better. Has anybody ever heard of heart cancer? No. And you never will, because that's the first recipient of the oxygen from your lungs. As the oxygen anneals to the hemoglobin and heads for the lungs, your heart is bulletproof against cancer. 80 years ago, Otto Warburg got 2 Nobel Prizes for his work with oxygen, killing fungus and curing the cause, cure, and prevention of cancer. 2 Nobel Prizes. Then they buried him.
Well, think about it. I mean, there's simple things, even when it just comes to, I know, even just massage, like if you're in an accident or anything else, when they go for massage therapy, that's what it is when you put pressure on the muscles, so that oxygen from the blood is actually driven to the area that you're putting pressure on. And hence why it releases the toxins, and then why it's always good to detoxify afterwards, because it is released into the system. But that's what it is. That's what actually helps you heal, even just something simple as, just massage therapy to make,
Right.
just, it has to do with the oxygen.
Yeah, and then you blend that with low vibration of opening the tendons, taking the tension off of the muscles, and nutrition, which fortifies the muscles, you have a nice life real fast. And if you don't have an accident, you can recover from, bad habits like soda pop, deep-fried foods, animal protein, like red meat and
TV
so on.
dinners, microwave.
Oh, you've got the list there, I'm sure. Yeah, TV dinner, candies, puddings, pies, cakes.
Aspartame, diet foods, fake sugars.
Yeah, the sucralose out of corn sugar, they're all poisons.
Exactly. We're going to take a quick break and, make sure the sponsors are happy. Okay. And when we come back, if you don't mind, I want to talk a little bit about, if possible, I guess the chakra connection, the energy and the flow that we have, and I guess the chakras that you're starting to focus on and things of that nature.
I'll be happy to share that knowledge I have with you.
Okay, perfect. All right, Freedomizers, we'll be back in just a few minutes. We're here, of course, with Doc Mike from American Voice Radio, plus his own, he has his own shop, so when we come back, I have the name here. So give me a second, though. I've got to find the things to play. That's when you're doing it all. Sorry, hold on.
Freedomizer Radio, waking people up. They have their little puppets and underlings in place, and pretty much every government on this planet will do their bidding as they push us into this one-world system. That's how it works. Somebody needs to carve that thing up, and I think I might be the man for the job. Be the man for the job. Waking people up. Just a tinfoil. If I got to break down the information, waking people up. Every time I get to have this conversation, it sends them a little deeper down the rabbit hole. Look a little deeper. Freedomizer Radio, Freedomizer Radio, waking people up.
Hi, Freedomizers. We're back. Nikki Nix here with you as we try to rise above dehumanization, which seems to be quite oppressing these days. If you're not plugged into the system and contributing by what they deem is right and wrong, then you are definitely a threat. And Homeland Security is coming to get you, along with little sis now, right? Big sis. Janet, she's watching you. But hey, we got Doc Mike here with us from Chicago, and your clinic, right? It's Witort Women's Clinic?
Witort's Women's Wellness, WWW.
I couldn't find my notes, so I was just going from memory. I was hoping I was close.
That's good. That's more memory than I've got. And I'd like to thank Eric also for putting us together, Nikki. Just put in a little plug for him.
I think people here actually know him as Uncle Buck.
Uncle Butch?
Uncle Buck.
Uncle Buck?
Yeah, like the movie with John Candy. Yeah.
Uncle
Buck.
It was just,
Uncle Buck.
All right. Well, I used to do a lot of deer hunting, and I knocked down a few bucks in my day. Didn't miss opening day for 33 years, but they got all my guns, so that joy is gone, deer season.
I used to hunt as a kid. I loved it, too. And it's not so much, it's not out there to the thrill of actually killing something. It's being able to go out there and camp and be a part of the woods and nature. And even in a deer lease, sitting up at the top, in those trees, it's so awesome, like fishing. You don't have to catch fish to enjoy a good fishing trip.
Well, it helps. But, that's Americana. Getting out in nature and enjoying it. So many people never have an opportunity to do this welfare state we have. People get buttoned up in these high-rise apartments with welfare and welfare state. It's criminal that they can't enjoy what you and I have experienced. And we can experience it anytime we want. Just get in our vehicle and go someplace and have a ball. So.
It is awesome. Well, let's start talking about like connecting to things again, because I know the chakras definitely come into play when we talk about energy forces that exist within us, within this world, within the universe, and connects everything. And the chakras are a big deal when it comes to that. And it's something that even scientists are starting to realize, that it all goes back to the energy state, and our perceptions of things is a big deal. So.
Right. Well, I've been working with chakras most of my professional career now since 1998, when I got rid of my fibromyalgia, and I started going into some of the energy types of healings and discovered the chakras from the crown down to the perineum, and have been using it very, very successfully with many of my patients, especially women patients that have a disruption in their energy fields in their first and second chakras, which are their creativity, their love, desire, and maybe you have the list right there of the, and I know I've got one someplace within reach here, but I should have gotten it ready. But I think I have one right here, if I'm not mistaken. But I'll go ahead as I'm looking for this. The different fields, especially, like I say, for women, the first and second chakras. Do you have your list right there? The first
I've got a book. That's what I'm doing right now. I just pulled it up.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm like you. It was just it was a topic suggestion, and so I wasn't prepared either.
I don't see it right here, but
I'm kidding it.
I know I've got one laying around here someplace. I hate to delay your show like this, but let's just say, if we concentrate on the first and second chakras, which are the femininity of women, restoring that, because if they get destroyed by an overdose of antidepressants or neuroleptics, brain drugs, narcotics, these all affect the way our bodies function, terribly affect them. And on my website is a page for the effects of narcotics, on the immune system and the neural system, what it does, knocks out the endorphins. And the women's issues that I work with, the vaginal work that I do, the breast work that I do, restores the energy portion of the body, and then we restore this femininity with the chakra work of normalizing all of the energy fields from the crown to the third eye, to the neck for communications, for the heart, for the love, the solar plexus, or getting rid of anger, hate, and things like that. And then the second and first chakras, which are the creativity and love, that is so important for women to experience.
I've actually been able to find everything now. So I've got exactly where they're located, what they're good for. I've got the planets they're associated with, their colors, their cosmic cycle, their deities, their elements. I have a nice complete book here, actually. And one of my favorite, if anybody's ever, I'm very big into resources, and finding, and this is one of the best I've ever found, whether you're esoteric or New Age or whatever trying to use these days. And the hypnotherapist that's still with us, I'm going to pull him in real quick. He knows, like the other day, they brought in the New Age thing, which is kind of funny. I would actually mention faith, and I was called blasphemous because I had faith in my fellow man. And this is all New Age hooey mumbo or something.
Well, the churches, and I was just talking to one of my patients the other day, are almost dead set against any of this sort of quote-unquote New Age. But I'll tell you what, this stuff has been around the Indian, that's Hindu, religions and societies for centuries, for millennium. And so why they're calling it New Age, I don't quite know. when they, like reflexology, they call it alternative medicine. No, the alternative to 8,000 years of medicine, holistic medicine, the alternative was drugs. And now they flipped it around, just like everything else they do. The Nazi swastika is actually the mirror image of the symbol for God in India. I don't know if you knew that, Nikki.
Yes.
Okay.
I do. People get confused. It's the light bringer, the bringer of knowledge. It's
right. And they put these things in our face every day on our money. They've got the uncapped stone of the Masons, in 1776. That's when the Illuminati was formed, not when our revolution was ended. The Omega on the money, the end, the Star of David.
they fear the weaving spider is what it is, and the weaving spider has nothing to do with more than just spreading of information. Something
right, exactly.
That's all it is, and that's what they fear.
Yeah, and the owl.
Yes.
The tiny little owl there, which is a Masonic logo, so to speak, in their superstition. The 13s, all of these different symbols that they have in our face, on our money every day, and then call it a Federal Reserve note, that it's a loan that we've made, and maybe Ron Paul's going to abolish the Fed, I don't know.
Yes, now that he's in charge of the Oversight Committee.
Yeah.
And everybody's saying, let him run for president. No, let him stay in charge of the Fed. That's much more important. Trust me, the president's just a puppet guy anyways. Hey,
right.
Speaking of everything that's appearing on the TV, I brought Sean back in, Sean McIntyre. We were
Great.
talking today about the mass hypnosis of society or a nation, and that has lots to do with like what we were just talking about with the, are you there, Sean?
Yes, I am.
Cool. So you want to go into a little about like the what you see on money and definitely in movies and.
Oh, absolutely. I agree with Doc, and that's actually my goal. But of course, I'm only one man, and I can only do it in onesie twosies. But you know what? Onesie twosies works for me, and it's just amazing to me how the powers that be. Those messages are also imprinted in the money. Like you said, those are those little subliminal messages. Right. And what we need to do is have people take off the glasses, so to speak, and see things through their own eyes. And of course, as Doc already knows, they tell us what to do, what to think. If we don't think their way, then it's the wrong way. Right. And they get the numbers that way. It's, for example, like I understand what you're talking about, being able to cure. For example, I'm not allowed to use that word either in my practice. I'm not allowed to call my clients patients. And the power of those words kind of changes things around in the psyche of the people. So,
right.
And
well,
that's what they're doing.
I'd like to explain something to words with the word cure. Okay? It means to restore to health. Now, if a doctor never restores anybody to health, he is banned from using the word cure. But I've restored many, many thousands of people, restored their health. Okay? Another one is if you want to use the word patient. Okay? Now, a patient goes into a doctor's office. They get a drug that makes them even sicker. They walk out of his office and they walk into my office. Do they also all of a sudden become a client or a customer? Well, why would they not be a patient if they're seeking the same relief that they went into the doctor's office for, and he can somehow call them a patient? I'm in their face every day calling all of my patients patients. That's what they are. They came out of this doctor's office. They're sick and tired of being sick and tired, being lied to about their conditions, and being bounced around like a basketball at Notre Dame practice.
And drugged up.
And drugged up, yeah. And you're getting sicker because that's their plan. Their plan is about management. It is not about curing anything. In fact, I run Medical Patriots. It's a group of doctors that no longer have their MDs because they cured something. That's Dr. Carley, Dr. Jennifer Daniels, Dr. Donald McNay. Bless his soul, he's dead. He drank himself to death in depression. One of the finest orthopedic surgeons, started curing cancer. They threw him in jail. And Dr. Guerrero in Texas was doing drug-free psychiatry. He's now selling water purifiers, vacuum cleaners, trying to make his mortgage. How about Dr. Prieto in California? He was curing little children of ADD and ADDH with vitamins and minerals. $200,000 later, he didn't have his medical license. There's a doctor in California that they tried to run out of town. Like a Dr. Blumenthal or something like that. I got her name here too. Okay, she does a lot of plastic surgery and things like that. Brilliant doctors that have cured many, many cases of everything, and they become pariahs. Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, they're scared because they're scared of people and things that they cannot control. And
exactly.
If they don't have the control,
exactly.
Then because it brings to life all the lies that we've been fed and that we've been programmed, that programmed our parents. For example, making money, for example, is now an evil thing. If you're making money, they try to dehumanize, as the title of the show goes. Anything that has to do with helping and curing people, and they say, and you know what, Doc? I think that we are, a big part of the blame rests on us as people, because we have given control of our own thoughts and opinions and feelings to the government, and that's basically what governments say. We know what's good for you.
Well, what happened to Tesla, right? I mean, come on. The technology that's out there that's free and that is meant for all of us, that technology, if you actually bring that out there and bring it to the public, what happens? They shut you up or you disappear, one or the other. They don't want you to know that we have the ability to help each other, that we have the ability just with interaction and just with basic knowledge that we all would have been taught if it weren't for the hypnosis, the dehumanization that's happening from the powers that be, or whatever you want to call it. If you want to call it your government, then okay, if that's as far as you want to go, but realize they're not really the ones in charge either.
No, it's the corporations. They're dumbing down everybody, and what they've created is this concentration camp mentality that one guard with a machine gun and his threat of killing somebody or harming someone, and they could single out somebody that's revolted and kill them right in front of everybody else. One guard can maybe control 10,000 people. Okay?
Yeah, they start in the schools. Have you seen the schools? You know, you're run by bells, and now you have to wear uniforms. You don't even get to express any individuality, and you're run by one person. And if you dare step out of line, hey, they have police that totally invade your rights because you're within a school system that they say it's okay to search your property and search anything that you've had contact with because you're not human or even a citizen when you're in school.
Right. Well, and then that goes back to TV, too, the violence that's on TV. Here in Chicago, we're the murder capital of the world. And where's your other guest located, Nikki?
He's in Kentucky, right? Sean?
Yeah, I'm in Louisville, Kentucky.
Louisville, okay. Been through there a couple times. These states allow this violence on television and the movies, and kids see this and they lose their respect for life. Fortunately, we're old enough and wise enough and have this wisdom of protecting these values that we honor instead of violating them, because here in Chicago, the word in the Puerto Rican and black neighborhoods, as far as the authority goes, is if you're leaving, take a cop with you. You know, they have no respect for life here. 4 policemen are shot dead on our streets here. One of them in a car recently. one of them washing his car, one going to an appointment. A guy came up and shot him. Then we had one real stupid trooper get his car going 100 miles an hour on Lakeshore Drive in a snowstorm, go into a burglary of a candy store, a $20 burglary. He's dead, wrapped his squad car around a tree. And then we got our radio station here lying to everybody. We just had a suicide of a 27-year-old girl here in Chicago, and it was reported on the radio that she died of natural causes. Well, can you imagine two cops going into an apartment and seeing somebody hanging from a rope and reporting to the radio that she died of natural causes? Evidently, we got a new way of killing people here in Chicago with natural causes of suicide. Now, that is a natural cause.
If you're a kid on a bike and you happen to have a toy gun, a cop will think that it's actually real and have the right to actually shoot the child.
Absolutely. How about a pencil? There was a little retarded boy that loved policemen, and he ran out in his front yard. He was doing his homework, and he saw a couple of cops walking down the sidewalk, so he runs out on the lawn. Oh, Mr. Policeman, little retarded child. They drew their guns, said, put down the weapon. Put down the weapon. And the little boy doesn't understand it. He loves policemen. He keeps running. He's dead. They shot him right on the lawn there. Policeman threatened, justifiable homicide. That came out of Idaho Observer, Ron Harkness's newspaper a couple years ago. He had 10 incidents of homeless people being shot by cops for
irritation.
Did you say irritation?
Yep.
Yes, yeah. Or they say policeman threatened or officer threatened. That's the legal term for it.
Yeah, but they're in their black uniforms now. They're hiring police from outside of their neighborhoods so that they don't have a connection to those that they enforce.
What towns are those, Nikki? You got some names?
I have several. Actually, I had Frank Richardson was with me last week. He wrote Police, the Arresting Truth. He used to be a sheriff, among other things, worked in the school system. He now investigates cops with the private security system in California as well. Very nice guy to get information from, seriously. But that's one of the big things. They don't hire inside their own community anymore. They usually hire people from outside and bring them in.
Sort of Blackwater group.
Well, look what they're doing to the military now. They're training military for urban combat in Americanized replicas that definitely don't look like anything that they go across and fight currently or any time in the recent past. So they're training them basically to come and it's the whole police state. So they're desensitized. And now we get groped by TSA because we're desensitized. We're not human anymore.
Just check your history books. Check your history books. What regime does that resemble?
Nazi?
And going back to what Doc was saying earlier about one guy with one machine gun guarding thousands of people is the same thing when they liberated Dachau and all those places. Right. And they were interviewing the people. They were saying we had no idea. We had no idea what was going on. And that's where we come to blame because we don't realize that numbers-wise we are a lot greater. And
well, we've got 300 million Americans, and they're the 13 trillionaires that we could overpower them in a half a second.
Oh, but we've got fluoride and GMOs and our fast food and everything else. We don't have the health nor the willpower or mental capability to stand up in any unified force.
And then look at what they did to Doc's guns. That's
No, see, that's what's so bad. They didn't even find them in your practice, so they went and took your personal ones.
Right. Well, I think we're winning. I personally think we're winning. I'm a very optimistic individual because every time I treat someone in my clinic or if I drive someplace to treat someone and they get well, it's one more person on our side. And that's what this radio thing is all about, too, getting that word out there, that keeping people's hope up and their faith up, that this thing we're going to weather this thing, and we're going to figure it out. Because we figured it out in 1929. This is almost identical to that. A lot of genius came up. The phoenix was rising after 1929.
That's great. That's actually like my logo is the all-seeing eye on the pyramid with the phoenix rising up with the family. That's my logo for this show, by the way. But seriously, we need to realize that we're just people, that we're all connected. It's just, it's so crazy because it's so simple.
Right.
And it's literally, it's just so simple. We need to interact, okay? Everything is energy. Everything is connected, and it is, you can heal yourself. You can have others heal you. You don't have to have pharmaceuticals, or you don't have to have McDonald's, which, trust me, after like just a few months, if you go completely without, will taste like the worst thing you ever put in your mouth. It doesn't seriously take very much. Go 2 weeks without a TV. See how you feel physically. Not only physically, but mentally. Because there is something that happens with the programming and all the frequencies that are everywhere. The frequencies are there, and they're put there because they're disrupting your own frequency.
That's for sure. Well, God bless you, Nikki, for what you're doing. I know it's a new endeavor for you, just a couple of months on the air. It's very, I've been doing this for 7 years. It's very, very exciting. Been healing people for 45 years. I found a cure for headaches when I was 14 years old, and I've been doing that for a long, long time, and now branched out into all the major maladies out there: hypertension, cancer, diabetes, cholesterol, arthritis, and all the 10,000 other medical scams out there that can be healed by ourselves. So I want to thank you for having me as a guest. I've got a patient that I'm going to be seeing in a little bit, and I'm sure that I'm going to add something to that session with being on your show.
I greatly appreciate that, and I was very excited to have you here, and it's been an awesome appearance. And everybody,
we'll get you up on my show again, and I know Eric has another venue for me also, so I hope we can all get together again soon.
Perfect. Well, enjoy your Saturday, and good luck to your patients, or what do you have to call them, clients?
Clients. They're all patients to me.
Okay. There you go.
God bless you both.
All right, everybody.
Thank you.
That was, of course, Doc Mike, and you can catch him on American Voice Radio. And he's up in Chicago, and his phone numbers, which I put in the chat room prior, so you'll have to catch up because I can't remember other than the area code. Here it is, 630-322-8880. You can call him, and if you ever need help, and like you said, he was offering free help for anyone who has been suffering from any of the 9/11 effects. Just give him a call, or if you're in the area or anything else, he can definitely help you out. Again, that number is 630-322-8880. And since Sean's still with us, I'll let him say goodbye as well.
Hey, well, yes, thanks a lot for having me on, and I hope that just keep on doing what you're doing. You're having it's a great outlet to dispel a lot of myths and a lot of lies that are out there, and just keep on doing what you're doing. You're doing fantastic.
Perfect. And everybody, that was Sean McIntyre, and you can find him, I have it up there, Hypno-Resolutions, right? Hypnoresolutions.com? Perfect.
Yes, that's it.
All right, guys. Thank you so much for joining me. This has been Nikki with Rise Above Dehumanization on Freedomizer Radio. We're shortly to be followed by Survival Cooking with Dr. Pepper. Hopefully they're around. If not, I'll be right back, and we'll see what we can't accomplish for the next hour. I'm going to play a quick song, and everybody enjoy your Saturday. Remember, we are all people. Just get out, say hello, shake your neighbor's hand. We're all people. Don't let them divide you. It's all confusion. It's mass hypnosis, and we can rise above this dehumanization.